Okay, welcome everyone to the May 2025 Microsoft 365 Modern Management Meetup. My name's Mark O'Shea, and here today we have the lovely Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve.
Who's going to be talking about security controls in Windows 11 24H2. And we have Dom.
Hello.
Who is currently engaged in a love affair with firmware.
Yep.
And config manager.
And Windows 10.
And packaging. Oh,
you live a life.
I do. I don't know what kind of life it is, but you do live a life. Okay, so no, I do not want the transcript showing up on my screen. Thank you for doing that. Okay, so I thought Uresh was joining.
So did I.
So maybe I think he said he was sort of going to be stuck in traffic and getting between meetings. So
that's right.
Maybe he'll still join late. Yaron said that he won't be able to join us this week. But that said, we can jump on in. We've got a pretty brief agenda. Doesn't mean that we've got a brief session.
I can see it. Can you see it? Well,
yeah.
It's showing me can't display presentation. There was a problem displaying the content. I don't know why.
Just leave and join the meeting again, see if that sorts it out.
Laura, can you see it?
I only can see the main page, like the big title, which use three guys' names on top.
Oh, yep, that's good.
Okay.
See how Dev goes this time.
Yeah, still same error.
Are you joining from Teams client or from a browser?
Client.
Try from a browser.
Okay.
I'm just going through my usual Teams troubleshooting things. See, normally what I'd say is if at least one other person can see it, I'd say it's not on our end.
Yeah. No, I get it.
but I'm feeling generous. I'm feeling generous tonight. Okay, so let's just sort of jump on in and we can take a look at what the agenda is. So any quick introductions that people want to do. Not too much to talk about on events. I should have made it event singular. I've only got one mentioned in there. Then we'll flick to Steve, and then the usual, we'll stop the recording and then switch over to any general, non-recordable topics that you want to go into. So with that, I guess just in terms of introductions, Laura, so I'm not sure if you want to sort of just, tell us, a bit about yourself, if you feel like it. Alternatively, if you wanted to sort of type, just give an intro in chat, whatever you're more comfortable with, we're okay with that, just so that we can sort of make sure that if there's anything that we can sort of target in terms of messaging, just to try to make some of the things we discussed land a bit better.
Yep. Okay. That I can speak for sure, but my voice sounds awful. Either way, I started as network engineer to design a lot of network for a global company before, and then gradually step away, and now I'm come back to IT, become IT support. So involve a lot of technology, the end users computing to using for the bank environment. And just happened recently, which pushing really hard to want to upgrade this Windows 11. And then I'm getting a lot of tremendous calls about, after the upgrade, the CS not working, and then somehow drive was missing or was working now, it's not working. And so that's why I'm here, try to understand the end user from end, like what potential they're gonna face. Yeah. And
okay,
that's me.
so yep. Oh, thank you for that intro. Okay, now in terms of events, well, it's really just one event that I want to talk about at the moment that's happening right now, despite people. I thought I had put an additional update
Evidently you didn't.
It's live. Yeah, apparently I didn't, or it didn't synchronize. Okay, so, and I actually did want to talk about, is it, no, it's not in there in a build. Okay, so I don't know what happened to the other thing that I put in here. But yeah, you can watch the live session or watch live sessions on build.microsoft.com. But if you want to watch recordings, YouTube is a much, much better consumer-oriented experience because it allows you to scrub through content and jump to the points you want without buffering and without complaining. And if you've got YouTube Premium, you can do downloads and things like that. But if for live sessions, obviously the Build website is going to be great for that. But most of the live sessions are not going to be suitable for our time zone, so it kind of cancels things out. Now, so obviously there's been a few Windows announcements. A lot of them obviously are quite AI focused, but you'll see in here that not everything is AI focused in there. So I just wanted to call some of that stuff out in case people were looking at some of the different, going to watch some of the different videos, etc. And I also just sort of realized that some of the links that I wanted to, okay, so it's the stuff that I wanted to show. I can see it when I switch to PowerPoint. I can actually see.
Because you've done it with PowerPoint Live.
Oh yeah, that's why. Yeah, because
Sure.
Another reason not to use PowerPoint. I always think I'll give it a shot. But yeah, so the other thing that I had that's not on this version of the presentation, but I wanted to talk about was an Edge for Business feature of blocking inappropriate sites at no cost on Edge for Business. Now, the thing that kind of I don't know if Steve knows where I'm about to go with this one, but let me just drop the link into chat for this. But what I sort of found interesting with that one was that it's applying to Microsoft 365 Business Premium and to, what else was it? It was, and Microsoft 365 Education SKUs. So,
I'm less shaky you've headed that one.
yeah, oh, okay. So this one is like, it always, like I have mixed feelings when things are rolled into one or two set of sweeps, but not other sweeps that people think are their equivalents or greater. But in this case, if you think about them trying to offer something simple to organizations that may not have the resources to do it properly, using that logic, no issues whatsoever with it, except there'll be people with their E3 and E5 licenses going, well, we're small, but we chose those, but now we're missing out on this stuff. And it's like, yes.
It's easy. Everybody should just get E5 mark.
Yeah. And have the appropriate people with the right skills to do it all properly. Yeah.
Well, no, you just turn it on, it just works.
Yeah. Except it's, yeah. Yeah. So for that one, so that was the thing that caught me by surprise with this was the, that it was M365, the E SKU or the A SKUs or Business Premium, and the use of Intune, which obviously we do like that part of it. So, so, and the reason why I'm sort of calling that bit out in particular is I've been sort of pulled back into the world of Business Premium again over the last month or two. So I've sort of been hearing the opposite side of it, people complaining about things that Business Premium doesn't include, but not recognizing what it does include that E3 users don't get, like close to a full functioning version of Defender for Endpoint, except it's called Defender for Business. Not to be confused with Defender for Endpoint P1, which is quite a subset of P2.
Don't get me started about Defender for numbers.
Yeah, Defender for suites. So this is one that I haven't had a chance to actually look at the functionality, but in terms of who they're targeting, making it something that's kind of specific and using, okay, I know the logic that I'm using could be torn apart by people without too much of a problem, but that's their issue, not mine. I accept it. Yeah, but there's, yeah, in that link, there's also like, there's a bunch of other useful stuff in there. Probably some of the other things that that I'll sort of make sure that I take a look at the sessions on, anything around the AI and security pieces. Mostly the like things related to different defenders or Sentinel or Purview. I'll take a closer look at some of that stuff and see what's worth bringing up in future sessions. But yeah, it was good to see a bunch of Windows stuff in there, and I think the Windows people, members of the Windows team were sort of letting people know they were going to be at Build, so they really wanted people to know that they were there.
There was a small cadre of Windows engineering people there.
So yeah, so so there's a bit there, and yeah, that's really everything that I wanted to sort of cover. But I'd say with this, like if you're if you want to sort of go through, take a look at the videos, like if you don't have ad-free YouTube, then you probably do want to watch it on the Build website. But if you've got YouTube Premium or something that is violating YouTube's terms of service that allows you to watch things ad-free, then YouTube would be a place to look at that stuff. And obviously not everything on here is related to what we're covering, or that we talk about, but in a lot of ways, it all sneaks in to things that we need to know something about in the future anyway, because if it runs on Windows, if it touches Windows, it becomes our problem when it doesn't work. So with that, that's it for me. I have a nice, easy one today. I hand over to Steve, if I can get back to, I keep going back to the PowerPoint window instead of Teams. It's like, where's my presentation? Okay, so over to you, Steve.
Am I supposed to be presenting something?
Yeah, you've got a Windows thing.
Oh, Windows. Okay, cool. Apparently I know something about that. Where's this button? Let's go here. Let's hit present just to make it all nice. You can play along at home and we can all learn the same things at the same time. So a couple of weeks ago, I presented a session at MMS, which is the Midwest Management Summit in Minneapolis, where we talked about the Windows 11 24H2 security changes. These are around the new security controls that have come with the latest version of Windows 11 and what you need to be aware of and how they're going to impact and be implemented in your organization. So I'm the guy in the middle. The other two aren't here tonight, but I didn't change the deck. Security, it's never been more critical. Apparently, like it's becoming more and more prevalent. You need to keep working on this. There's 4,000 password attacks per second. The median time for an attacker to access your private data, if you fall victim to a phishing email, is an hour and 12 minutes, which is pretty nuts. And then there is a global shortage of 3.5 million skilled security workers, skilled IT security workers, not the guards that sit at like the train station and all of that, because, well, we don't care about that number. So we'll talk about enhanced sign-in security, ESS. We'll also talk about admin protection. And the last part that we'll talk about is personal data encryption. And Mark will note that we are no longer using the acronym for personal data encryption because we're not allowed to, because it refers to a different terminology in French. I'll explain later. We have extreme rules about it from AVP. So we are talking about enhanced sign-in security, ESS, which is part of or a new feature in the Windows Hello for Business framework. What?
I think I figured it out.
You did. And you understand why we're not allowed to use that acronym, aren't you?
Be careful, Dom.
Yeah, I won't Google it. Don't worry.
So ESS is a feature of Windows Hello for Business that adds an additional layer of security to biometric data. So what this is think of it where in the current implementation of Hello for Business, which is secure, it's safe, everything associated, you can use any camera that has an IR reader in it and it will sit there and go, yep, we're happy. That's a trusted person. That is Mark. That is Dom. With ESS, all of these devices have to be recertified to have a digital certificate in the device itself to sign and trust that connection between the device and the computer, all on the USB bus. So it's all around having a trust channel between the devices, which is cool because it means that it's all encrypted and everything associated. At a high level, that's what ESS is. It's baked into devices like this, which is the new shiny Copilot Plus device that has the capability of running recall. And you'll see a common theme around this with recall because we use ESS as a foundation to ensure that you have secure access to that data set. It requires virtualized based security, so VBS, not that VBS, but the hardware level VBS and TPM 2.0.
Hey, can I ask you a question for you?
Yes.
What happened to what was the thing that allowed you to launch Edge in or browsers in a sandbox? App protection? Windows.
AppGuard.
Was it, yeah, AppGuard for Edge? So, okay, because it's either been deprecated or it's been deprecated.
That disappeared like 12, 18 months ago.
Okay, that's how long it's been since I've used it. It was when I was looking at stuff around the M365 apps, AppGuard or stuff. So I was like, oh, I haven't got that setting. That's gone as well.
AppGuard's gone.
Okay, because I think they're still talking about.
There's a new iteration of it.
Okay.
What you're thinking of is gone.
Okay. Okay. Into that.
Let's move on. So ESS is all around face recognition, fingerprint recognition, and then credential operation. So what you're doing with that object. So fingerprint and facial, it's the same as what you have with Hello for Business today. So what's different? Well, as I said, it's encrypting that channel to make it so that there is a reduced risk associated there. It requires today a camera or fingerprint reader that's baked into the device. External devices don't exist today for Hello for Business ESS. So think for it, plan for it, but if you don't have ESS devices on your computer, it's just going to ignore those settings.
My poor Logitech Brio.
Yes. There's going to be quite a lot of Logitech Brios going to the dumpster, unfortunately. So to turn it on in your environment, so if you've got Copilot Plus devices today, you can go into the settings catalog and turn this setting on, which is enable ESS with supported peripherals. And it will go and set the enhanced sign-in security will be enabled on systems with capabilities. Easy. Architecture. Cool. At a high level, what we're doing is we're going in and we're doing our sensor sign-in, and we're going and sending that process across here. We've got our secure driver into our secure enclave to do all of the processing, and then it comes back to the Hello stack to go, yeah, you're allowed to do this. Go and enjoy it and have fun. At a high level, it's a lot more complex than that, but we don't need to go into that level of information. But ESS, it is cool. It's going to be part of the fundamentals for Windows Recall. So to get access to your recall data set, you have to have Hello for Business ESS enabled, and it will then force if your credentials, if your biometrics change, you lose access to your previously stored recall data. So I think it's pretty awesome on that front. Admin protection. Has anybody heard of admin protection other than Mark? From me?
More or less.
Pretty much. So admin protection is really cool, but really confusing and convoluted to implement. And whatever you do, don't just turn it on. I cannot stress that enough. Do not just turn this on. It's awesome, but it will break things in your environment, especially yours. So the simple explanation is this is changing the UAC prompt from being a speed bump to actually being a stop sign saying, or traffic light saying, yes, you're allowed to do this, or no, you're not allowed to do this. Because by default, your user token will not have an admin golden pass to be able to go and run admin tasks on your computer. So it's all secure, it's all safe, because we're separating that token. So today, that token's always there. No matter where you go, it runs. Pretty cool, right? To get access to that token, do we have it in here? Yeah, we do later on. To get access to that token, you have to have a biometric proof of presence to get to the token, or you need to provide a PIN. Cool. That sounds fantastic, right? Sounds awesome. Except, what happens about all of my scheduled tasks that are running as admin privileges in my user account? They're non-interactive, so they get blocked. There is no way to have a admin token associated with that workflow. So it doesn't work. So what's the control to fix that? We'll move everything to system. Anything that needs to run in a elevated privilege on a scheduled task, stop running it as the user admin context on the device. Simple. But don't just turn it on. Make sure you go through and understand what's there. So this is what we have today, where I've always got my elevated token. And it's there, it's always there. When we go to admin protection, we are separating that out. We also have an isolated admin profile and Hive. So the question that we get asked quite often when we're talking about this is, how does this differ to EPM or equivalent technologies? In EPM, you're given a user account that has the ability to elevate up. This is running in the user context. So think of it like PIM, but on the client device. And you're just getting access to that token every single time you need to use the token, not every time you want to run the process. So it's pretty cool. But yes, as I say, no auto elevation. That's super important. You don't want that in your environment. This is going to make your environment awesome. The important thing to note is by default, at the moment, it is off by default. But anticipate in the coming years, this will be enabled by default for all Windows computers. Admin protection, as you can see, is not equal to LAPS or EPM. They are separate technologies. They will work together. Part of why admin protection is still in the insider builds and not GA build is because we are working to make it work better with EPM, CyberArk, and one of the other ones, Beyond Trust, or Beyond Trust and CyberArk are the same thing.
No.
It's one of the other vendors. It's preview at the moment, Dev. It's on the insider builds, and I believe you can turn it on production builds, but again, it's something that you need to test and validate. If you're running other solutions, you will potentially run into issues, and that's what we're working to make it all work better together. All good, not a problem. The important thing to call out is, yes, use safe deployment practices, sit there and do ring-based deployment, validate what's going on, make sure that when you're talking to staff that are using automation or things like that, hey, why does this need to run in your user context? Can it run in system context? If it can't run in system context, why is it actually running as admin on your device? Like, what does it need to do as admin on your device that can't be around the system? And it may mean you have to separate tasks and processes to these are system tasks, these are user tasks. Scary, but it's also good hygiene and everything associated on that. And yeah, the highest important part is, yeah, it's going to simplify the risk of admins just being able to do anything on their computer. They have to go through and do the request to get permissions to get access to that token. I'm not going to show you any demos on this because demos are hard and I don't have anything set up. The end user experience goes from this being a UAC prompt to this being admin protection, which is literally saying, hey, you need to authorize this rather than asking to elevate, which is awesome. It'll tell you the app, it'll tell you who the publisher is, and then it'll highlight that you've got the options for face, biometric, or fingerprints and PIN. And again, consent versus credentials. So you can actually force credentials every time and you can just change, or you can set it so it's consent mode. So consent is just like, yep, I'm good, continue on. But there's always going to have to be that speed bump along the way where somebody's interacting with it. There's no -- allow, bypass, admin protection at the command line when running a process. And then here's the credential prompts that they all change and they're cool. And you can see that it's being blocked if you do it the wrong thing. All right. Any other questions before I jump on to personal data encryption? Cool. So personal data encryption. This is where we are moving we are adding an additional layer of encryption to the data that is stored on your device. So BitLock is fantastic. Everybody's using BitLock at 90%, as you can see. Everybody. It's an easy generalization. We love the 80-20 rule. Anything above 80%, everybody's using it. Done. Great. I don't know why we have TPM plus PIN for enhanced security and why we're calling that out, but anyway, we are. But the important thing to note is it encrypts the files on the system, right? So it's all fully encrypted, but once that device is, once you've booted the device, you've got access to that data as an admin, as any other user. So if Dom logs onto my computer, he has access to the files in my profile, so long as he's an admin and all of that, or even a standard user with allowed permissions. What personal data encryption allows you to do is basically have a level 1 and a level 2 decryption key. So when I log on, it will decrypt my store, but when I lock my computer, that level 2 key means that you don't get access to my files if you go and log on to that computer. I think we have some documentation around that. But basically, it's using, as I said, the Hello for Business technology to have the controls there. And it protects the data at rest, locked, and everything even when you're logged in, but not interactive session. So, yeah, and it's pretty cool. And then obviously we have APIs to link in. All the prereqs, that's pretty straightforward. Right now, all files are stored in OneDrive. When you turn on personal data encryption, it's all for the OneDrive known folder move folders. So desktop, pictures, documents, they are automatically added into the personal data encryption repository and handles all of that for you. So it's all encrypted. And the reason why we have limited it to that scope today is these are files that are coming down from your OneDrive, so it's good to be able to validate that it's minimizing the risk associated with it. The important thing to note, and if anybody is actually running this in your environment, I'm sorry, but Windows information protection is cannot be used with personal data encryption. I don't know about you, Mark, but I've never seen it actually deployed
I've seen attempts.
successfully.
Yeah, attempts.
And you'll note that we call out OneDrive, but it can be any cloud provider, just will make it so you have that secure backup. We encrypt the files instead of the whole volume, which is why it's different to BitLocker, which is awesome. It's going to honor purview and things like that, which is awesome as well. You'll see here, unlike BitLocker, which gives you the keys at boot, it's when the user logs on, you get access to the keys. And then the decryption keys are discarded when the user logs off. So no other user can get in there. And this is where that level 1 and level 2 token comes in, because it's the level 2 token that gets discarded with my lock. And then I get access when I unlock the computer. The level 1 token is there, and it's pseudo decrypted, but it's not accessible to any other user on the device. So if I'm running a process, it's just I can continue running that process in the level 1 scenario, and the level 2 is interactive access to it, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, it's different to purview. It's going to be there even when the device is locked. Here we go, level 1, level 2. So level 1 is all about when you're logging onto the computer, and level 2 is about when you're sitting there and locked, unlocked, and I'll remove it from memory so nobody can go in and grab that key. It's using the AES CBC 256 encryption to ensure the files are all encrypted and secure, which is awesome. Yeah, that's word vomit, but basically think of it as what I've been saying with the L1 and L2 or one level 2 keys, where when I log on as a user, I get my level 1 key, which decrypts my files. The level 2 keys are there for when I'm locking the computer and somebody else goes and logs on the computer. And we have yet another repeated slide of that. This is not my deck, as you can tell. I'm very cynical on it, but it works. It explains what it's doing and how it's going to work in your environment. So, roadmap, recovery for enterprise 25H2, H1, I should say, which is frustrating. So, what do you think we mean by recovery for enterprise?
Someone forgets their face.
No. It means that your IT admin can bring their own security keys to personal data encryption, and then they can decrypt the files, which actually reduces the security of the solution, but there is a demand that we have to have that there. It's frustrating, but that's what it is. We've got management APIs for the consumer market. It's awesome. And then we're also adding the enhanced security for process protection and other end user data protection. So that's 26H1. And that's all the content I have. I ran through it really quickly. Is there any questions around this?
Steve, so for personal data encryption and the BitLocker, can they coexist?
Yes, all of this can coexist. It should coexist. BitLocker, think of BitLocker as encrypting the whole drive.
Yeah.
And then personal data encryption is encrypting the files for the user only. So all of the personal data encryption files in my profile are encrypted from Mark, and Mark, I don't have access to Mark's files on the computer. So it's about having that coexistent on the device and nobody else getting access to those files.
Sure.
So this personal data encryption is what we're using with Recall to encrypt the database and associated technology with it. So we have both personal data encryption and Windows Hello for Business ESS to ensure that we have a secure access to our Recall data and it means nobody else will get access to that data.
Yeah, okay, I heard you. It's just like we have Windows hallowed. We already have a BitLocker. So now when the Windows are schedule ready to roll out, that time is it one too many or just like the more it's
This is
better?
it's a plus plus. So think of ESS will become the new standard once all of the hardware is released.
Mm.
Timeline is indeterminate, but think of it the same rollout as we had with Windows Hello for Business, which was a multi-year rollout for IR cameras and things like that that are certified to roll out and be accessible. So timeline for the hardware is not public today, but expect, multi-year rollout as it encrypts. What we're saying with ESS is if you've got laptops like the Copilot Plus device and the Surface device, they have it built into them. It's more the external devices that are the issue. So it will happen eventually, but we don't have a timeline associated with that.
Okay.
Don't let that stop you from rolling out Hello for Business, because you should be rolling out Windows Hello for Business to all devices and all users in your environment, as it will help you achieve one of the requirements for the Essential 8 Maturity Level 3, as it is an additional factor of authentication for your Windows device.
Yeah, okay, good information. Thanks for that.
Any other questions about anything?
Yeah, nothing from me for this regard. I guess I got a lot to digest as well. So,
I know I went through this really quickly.
yeah, but I followed. Yeah, it's pretty good information now. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, awesome. It works better with a big room because you have 100 people asking you questions.
And that's why I'm feeling just like if I don't say something, it's kind of to make a whole room really quiet as well. So that's why I try to squeeze some like intelligent questions. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, it's personally I think it's a good topic for that regard. But we already have a Windows like Hello to roll out anyway, and then
Perfect.
on top that regardless the big blockers secure everyone's data, and then I'm trying to think what else can you make it more secure. And now you just mentioned the personal data encryption.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, I think that's in preview at the moment in insider builds. Personal data encryption, or is that? Oh no, it's production.
I thought it. Yeah,
it's GA. Yeah, it's GA, but it's off by default today. You can turn it on with minimal concern.
Yeah, but yeah, you do have a certain protocol you need to follow, review, testing in a sandbox before actually roll out as well.
Always follow safe deployment practices one by one.
Yeah, by my concern, because I just mentioned I come from network background, right? But every additional encryption on top of that, you increase the latency, because you encrypt the other end need to take time to decrypt as well. So now you got so many different layers of encryption, decryption sitting on a VPN.
So that this isn't transmitted at that point. So personal data encryption is on device only. It's not leaving the device encrypted. So it's not going to touch the network or anything like that. It's going to be when you're accessing the file.
Yeah.
And that's it. So it's a very lightweight encryption protocol.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that sort of ties into, I think, what Laura's probably had exposure to was, in a lot of cases, like the VPN appliance or whatever that you had.
Yeah.
it may have had like a gigabit port on it or a 10 gig, like an SFP plus port on it. But and so people would go, oh, it can do 1 gig or it can do 10 gig. And it's like, if you're not encrypting anything, it might be able to, but as soon as you turned on any level of encryption, the throughput of a lot of those appliances would just absolutely plummet.
Because they underspec the CPU.
Yeah, because and people would add, like people would sort of buy it for a particular purpose,
Yep.
but then there'd be a new version of whatever, whatever VPN technology. They're like, okay, we now support that. But because it would all be software based with no hardware acceleration, the performance would always,
Of course.
tank, and it would be running at 100% CPU and overheating and not performing very well.
Yep, we've all seen that.
Yeah.
So this isn't like that in the sense that it's part of why you need to meet the Windows 11 security baseline, hardware baseline. So you need the TPM 2.0, you need the virtualized based security technology in the firmware and all of that, because it handles offloading that processing. If you don't have that technology and you just run the flag of, hey, yeah, it's all good, it's not a problem, man, Microsoft put the control in there so I can just run Windows on any computer, yeah, you're going to notice the performance impact.
So are you saying if we all upgrade to this AI compatible type the firmware or chips?
It doesn't need to be the AI compatible. It's just the ones that are compatible with Windows 11. So any computer that's come out in the last 5 years, asterisk roughly, will support BBS and TPM 2.0, which is doing the offloading for all of this encryption.
Yeah.
So the impact for the CPU is going to be minimal. Same with RAM.
But I think like it's probably not going to be all that long until there's some kind of like AI or NPU in, at least I guess, probably more so in we'll probably see it faster in laptop CPUs.
So,
but even desktop CPUs seem to be adopting.
My new desktop at home has it's the Ryzen 9.
Yeah.
And it has a NPU baked into it.
Oh, okay.
So it does 80 tops, which is pretty cool. Crater Lake CPUs are doing like 65 tops.
Yeah.
So the AI in the CPU is coming, and it will be to the point where you won't be able to get a device without it. So brilliant. And that will help a lot with the personal data encryption components as well. But yeah, performance, you're not going to see the difference with multiple encryption layers. We haven't, like, even running recall, which is going and doing screen grabs and then sitting there and playing back and allowing you to use the AI to interact.
Yeah.
You're not actually seeing a huge performance impact at all.
So
even when you're going and doing stuff.
Yeah, how many machines you test concurrently? Let's say we have 56,000 users. It's by default must have VPN, then must have AI and
Laura, this isn't per device. This isn't cumulative. This is all on each individual device. Doesn't matter if you've got 1 or 56,000 endpoints. It is going to be the experience on that single device. It's not anything on your VPN. It's not anything going over your network traffic. It's running it all locally on this computer. It's not offloading to the cloud at that point.
Yep, I heard you. I don't want to argue. Yeah.
Yeah. So from a scale point of view, it's not going to, it doesn't matter if you've got that many, if you've got 57,000 users or whatever. That comes down to, yes, your hardware will eventually cycle out over the next 5 years to support all of this, and that's where you're going to be successful. So
let's presume your personal data encryption only happen locally. So have you seen the technology called always on? So every single employee, when they turn on the computer, first thing is the VPN must be on. So anything
understand
communicate on tablet, yeah, you have that.
Yep, I understand that. But
Yeah.
the technology that we're talking about today on this is all around processing it on the box. So we're not sending any of the traffic up. And if you're going to run, say, for example, you're running an AI model like Whisper or something like that on the client device and then sending it out to the cloud, when
Yeah.
you're using your VPN technology, you should be using split tunneling technology, or you should be using something like a SASE agent on the client device to do the data processing and then routing the traffic wherever it needs to go, whether it's to your corporate network or whether it's to your to the public cloud. But if you're routing all of your traffic via an always-on VPN, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
you need to move to split tunneling.
But, yeah,
That
I heard you.
that's design.
Hands tie, yep, I heard you. Out hands tie, speed tunnel is other option. Okay, and then everything else. Yep, I know your point, but loss are another option at this point. Yep, but no, that's a good point. But like I said, not the option for now as well. Hey, there's one question on the chat. Would you like to switch? Other than we don't want to get into too deep in the network side, but I saw the Dave asking you questions.
Yeah, so Dev's asked the question of does admin protection and ESS tie into the audit and compliance requirements? It doesn't today. I'm sure it will eventually. So admin protection, definitely I can see landing into a compliance and audit requirement for things like the ASD Essential 8. I could see it landing in there for the CIS benchmarks and baselines. But today it's not being discussed yet. ESS, that's already being discussed as the next generation for the multi-factor, but the biggest hold up on that is going to be the external devices. So external cameras and fingerprint readers and smart card like YubiKeys and things like that. That's going to be the delay of that becoming the industry standard of you need to have that for audit and compliance rationale. Does that make sense, Deb? Perfect. Anything else? Any other questions? Awesome. Hopefully that means that what I explained makes sense and it's not too confusing.
And not at all, Steve. My brain's hurting.
Yeah, I have that effect on people, unfortunately. This is the fun part that I get to do is walk in and just blow people's minds.
My brain hurts when we talk about credential guard.
That's for a different reason.
Fair enough.
Not because I'm explaining to you anything bad or hard. Cool. Well, unless there's any other questions, did we want to wrap it up?
Or yeah, let me stop the recording and then we can just go to open Q&A. Just stop that.
Extended Q&A. I have a slide for you.
No, thank you. Did you actually have time for Q&A in sessions or were you taking questions during?
Oh, I take questions during. Sometimes I have questions at the end, but more often than not, all of my questions get asked. Like this session,